Hello, and welcome to Tyrannus Gaming. Today we'll be covering Mesa, the American Dream Girl. We'll be using 20 times Terra Elite Crewman. It will be Steel Path. The AI will be paused so I can explain what's going on, and the enemy level will be 140. And the one thing I failed to mention is that Steel Path enemies are necessarily 2 to several times stronger than the base standard of the enemies you're facing. So an enemy level at 140 may necessarily be equivalent to an enemy level that is 540. Again, I'm not good at math, as I failed kindergarten, but let's continue. Mesa's passive allows you to shoot dual-wielded sidearms 15% faster and reload single-handed sidearms 25% more rapidly. She will also gain 50 bonus health if you decide not to use melee weapons. Seeing as to how that's not a sacrifice I'm willing to make, you go ahead and do you, and I will do me, as horrifying as that sounds. Mesa's number 1 ability is known as Ballistic Battery. When activated, this power stores damage caused by guns, and anything else that remotely looks like a gun, because I'm certain the person who defined guns lived in California. I'm not kidding, bows count as guns when it comes to this ability. Let's go ahead and rack up that 0% at the top right until it hits 100%. Now many of you may have noticed that I accidentally set our volunteer on fire. Do not be alarmed, as he is a stuntman and this is pretty normal for him. And, even though I am shooting him, he does come with a personal shield and he can't be harmed. Now let's go ahead and pay attention to the fact that I'm glowing green and about to Hulk out. This means that the ability on the bottom right is still active. And if I press 1, you can see my butt, and we're still glowing green. You'll notice at the top right, it says 5600. Fun fact, that 5600 is amplified by our critical damage, our critical chance, and elemental mods equipped to the weapon we're currently using. And if we take aim at our target here, and simply pull the trigger, you'll notice that the energy cloak on us disappeared, and we dealt 100,000 damage to our volunteer. This was not enough to cause any permanent harm to him, but you can see that 100,000 is greatly higher than 800. However, if we repeat this process, and then switch to a proper weapon, such as this completely California legal assault weapon, we simply need to disable, or should I say prime, the number 1, and take aim at our volunteer, and pull the trigger. You'll notice that 751,000 damage is greater than 100,000. And as I said, this is because her number 1 ability scales off of your critical chance, critical damage, and your elemental mods. Serration, for instance, does not affect this ability, as it does not scale off of base damage mods. Now let's go ahead and move on to Shooting Gallery, Mesa's number 2 ability. This is what it looks like. You'll notice that while Mesa here has a rifle, and she is not playing with it, our friendly Corpus volunteers are playing with their guns, and clearly miss the basics of Marine Corps training camp. This is my rifle, and you'll notice I have no gun, but this hasn't stopped them from playing with theirs. Shooting Gallery also has the benefit that it increases your damage by 25%. If you have allies, Shooting Gallery jumps between your allies, increasing their damage by 25% as well. And if you're wondering why a 25% boost in damage would be beneficial to me, while the enemy stands around and plays with themselves, I would point out that this is called crowd control. It is illegal in many states, but I will point out that when the enemy is playing with their gun, they are not trying to play with you. And if they're not playing with you and they're playing with their guns, it means that you can simply take pot shots at them and help them remove their helmets and remind them of their mortality. Let's go ahead and move on to our number 3 ability. Also known as Shatter Shield, it envelops Mesa in a barrier of energy, reflecting back incoming bullet damage. This is what it looks like. This is an incredibly straightforward ability, and at 116% ability strength, it has 95% damage reduction. This lasts for about 25 seconds and can be a lot more useful than any other ability in our arsenal, assuming you use it correctly. There's no reason not to have this active as it has no downsides, so I would point out, activate this at literally every opportunity you have if you want to stay alive. Mesa's number 4 ability, also known as Regulators, utilizes a special weapon slot that is activated the moment you press the number 4 button. If you look at her right forearm, you'll notice that it is a revolver attached to her wrist, for some godforsaken reason, but I guess the rule of cool cannot be disobeyed. And as you can tell, she has 2 of them. Let's go ahead and get some energy, and I'll show you what it looks like. When utilizing Regulators, it is best to take the high ground. This is not a reference to anything, I mean it quite literally. So let's go ahead and see what it looks like when we're not Anakin Skywalker. First, we take a sexy pose, and then we shoot our target rather than letting them shoot us. As you'll notice, the fire speed greatly increases over 3.5 seconds, and if you let go of the button and then proceed to fire again, you'll need to build that back up, which is wasted seconds. You're not putting bullets in your enemy. And as we all know, enemies really love to eat lead, and this is how we solve world hunger, with first world problems, with first world solutions. I would also like to point out that the Regulators have a circle around the screen that, as it decreases your field of view, and this means that you need to keep it on your enemy, or in this case, the starving Corpus volunteers that have joined us under NDA. As you can see, this is an improper way to play Mesa. You do not keep her at long range, as she is not a sniper-capable character, and this Rubico here can actually be retrofitted to be a medium-range weapon, or a heavy, semi-automatic rifle. I would also point out that the proper way to play Mesa is not to go into melee, because once you activate your number 3, you may receive massive damage resistance from enemy gunfire, but you will certainly take full damage from melee, meaning that Infested will simply mob you and kill you instantly. Let's go ahead and see the proper way to play Mesa. Like I said, just be careful how you deploy this, and make sure you're not swarmed by 20 enemies when you do it. But I hope you all have a wonderful day, and if you saw that I played Mesa wrong, or you have any advice for me, I'd very much appreciate it, as Mesa is not one of my mains, and it's been very difficult to learn her properly. These are my regulators. This is my plinks. And this is my Rubico, with these really cool and unique mods with these spider effects on them. I hear these are very rare and can only be found on Iron Wake, and can be purchased only with credits, as they are exclusive items. Now, my friends, I would let you know that Warframe is not a game about big numbers and luck, but it is in fact a game built on knowledge and experience, which will eventually result in skill.